Commander Tai stood at the control center of the Galactic Confederation vessel Stellar Path. His four-fingered hands moved smoothly across the glowing display. The ship had been exploring the outer reaches of the galaxy for many cycles when they discovered the blue-green planet. "Scan complete," Commander, said the ship's computer. "Planet K3721 shows signs of intelligent life." Tai's tail moved back and forth with excitement. He had visited many worlds in his 60 cycles as an explorer, but something about this planet felt different. Through the viewing screen, he could see the continents and oceans of Earth. The night side sparkled with the lights of cities. "Their energy readings are unusual," Ta said to himself. "They use primitive fossil fuels, yet they've already reached their moon." Science Officer Jun entered the command center. The tall, thin alien carried a small crystal that glowed with stored data. His skin had a slight blue tint that contrasted with Ta's greenish scales. "Commander, I finished my initial study of their communications," Jun said, placing the crystal into a reader. Images of Earth's various cultures appeared on the screen. They have many different groups, languages, and belief systems. Tai watched with interest as the display showed temples, churches, and sacred sites from around the planet. "Look at this pattern," Jun continued. "Almost every human culture has stories about powerful beings who came from the stars. They call them gods, angels, or visitors. Could there have been previous contact?" Tai asked. "The Confederation has no record of it," said Jun. "But these stories appear in civilizations that had no contact with each other." Tai made a decision. "Prepare a surface team. We'll observe them up close." He pointed to a relatively isolated area on the display. "This island region seems suitable. Less population, more natural cover." Within hours, the stellar path descended through Earth's atmosphere under the cover of darkness. They landed in a hidden valley surrounded by ancient forests and rolling hills on the island humans called Ireland. The ship's cloaking technology made it invisible to Earth's detection systems. 8 crew members prepared for the mission. Using molecular displacement technology, they altered their appearances to look human. Tai studied his new form in a reflective panel. He now appeared as a tall human male with dark hair. His 4 fingers had become 5, his scales transformed into smooth skin. "Remember," Tai instructed his team. "Observe only. No interference with the natives." They established a base camp near a small village. For 2 days, they watched and recorded, fascinated by human behavior. The locals were preparing for a harvest festival, hanging colored lights and preparing food. "They seem so familiar yet so alien," Tai remarked as they watched from a distance. "They fight and love with equal passion. Their lives are short, but they accomplish so much." On the 3rd day, trouble arrived. Dark clouds gathered suddenly over the valley. Lightning flashed across the sky, but it wasn't natural weather. "Commander," called the ship's pilot through their communication devices. "I'm detecting the solar electromagnetic pulse. It's interfering with our systems." Before Tai could respond, a bright flash lit up the sky. For 3 seconds, the cloaking field around their ship failed. The sleek, silver vessel became visible against the night sky. "Damage report," Ta demanded. "Cloaking systems restored," came the reply. "But there may have been witnesses." Ta hurried back toward the ship to assess the situation. The festival in the village was still going, music playing loudly. Perhaps no one had seen. As he reached a clearing in the forest, Ta felt his holographic disguise flicker. He quickly adjusted the device on his wrist. But it was too late. A human female stood at the edge of the trees, watching him. For a moment, his true form had been visible. The green scales, the 4-fingered hands, the long tail. The human wore a simple dress and carried a small bag of herbs. Her eyes were wide, but she showed no fear. Tai froze, unsure what to do. This was exactly the kind of contact they were supposed to avoid. He prepared to call for an emergency extraction. But then the human did something unexpected. She smiled. "I've been waiting for you to return," she said softly. Tay tilted his head in confusion. Return. We've never been here before. The woman, who would later introduce herself as Hannah, stepped closer. Not you personally, perhaps, but your kind has been coming to Earth for thousands of years. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small stone tablet covered with markings. My family has kept the records since the first visit. Ta stared at the tablet. The symbols were identical to ancient Confederation script. Retri Sef to follow me, Hannah said, motioning for Tai to come with her. There is much I need to show you. Ta hesitated. Confederation rules were clear about contact with developing civilizations, but something about the stone tablet with ancient Confederation markings troubled him deeply. He activated his communication device. This is Commander Ta. I'm going with a local to investigate something. Send Sung to my location. Hannah led him along a narrow path through the thick forest. Moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting strange shadows on the ground. They walked in silence for nearly an hour before reaching a clearing. The sacred circle, Hannah said. In the clearing stood a ring of massive stones, each taller than 2 humans. The stones were arranged in a perfect circle with one larger stone in the center. The sight made Ta's scales tingle beneath his human disguise. Sung arrived shortly after, breathing heavily from the hike. The exobiologist looked at the stone circle with professional interest. These are similar to structures we've seen on other planets, he said, taking out a scanning device. Let me check something. Sung walked slowly around the circle, his scanner humming. Commander, this is remarkable. These stones align perfectly with the Aldebaran system, the Pleiades cluster, and the Confederation homeworld. That's impossible, Ta said. Your homeworld isn't visible from Earth without advanced technology. Hannah smiled. The stones were placed by those who came before. My ancestors. Your ancestors worked with aliens? Ta asked. Hannah walked to one of the stones and placed her hand on its rough surface. The stories say that long ago, people from the stars visited Earth. They found humans to be special, adaptable, and resilient. The visitors shared their knowledge with certain families. What kind of knowledge? Sung asked, still scanning. How to build these circles, how to read the stars, and prophecies about a great darkness that would one day threaten all life, Hannah explained. The visitors mixed their blood with chosen humans to create guardians who would protect against this darkness when it came. Ta felt a chill run through his body. This sounds like genetic manipulation. The Confederation has strict laws against that. The Confederation wasn't formed yet when this happened, Hannah said. The stories say this was many thousands of years ago. Sung looked up from his scanner with a troubled expression. Commander, I found something disturbing. These stones contain trace elements not found on Earth, and their arrangement matches exactly with stone circles we've documented on 12 other worlds across the galaxy. 12 worlds. Ta's compound eyes widened beneath his disguise. Are you certain? The pattern is identical. Sung confirmed. This can't be coincidence. As night fell completely, they returned to the village. Tai ordered the rest of his team to maintain their cover while he processed this new information. Something much bigger than a simple observation mission was unfolding. The next morning, several villagers approached their camp. An old man spoke to Hannah in hushed tones. What's happening? Tai asked. People in the village had strange dreams last night. Hannah translated. They saw stars falling and heard voices speaking in languages they didn't understand. Tai exchanged concerned looks with Sung. Did your instruments detect anything unusual last night? Sung checked his datapad. There was a spike in electromagnetic activity around the stone circle. It started emitting low-frequency pulses unlike anything I've seen before. As darkness fell again, they returned to the stone circle. Now Tai could see it with his own eyes, a faint blue glow pulsing from the symbols carved into the stones. The stones are active, Hannah said. They've never done this before. Tai ran a hand over the central stone. These pulses don't match any known Confederation technology. Because they're older than your Confederation, Hannah said simply. She knelt down and began clearing away dirt and small rocks from the base of the central stone. "There's something else I need to show you." Tay and Sung helped her dig until they revealed a flat stone with strange markings. Hannah pressed her hands against specific symbols in a pattern. "My family has protected this chamber for 26 generations," she explained as the stone began to move. "We've been waiting for the right time to open it. I think that time is now." The stone slid aside, revealing a dark passageway leading down into the earth. Cool air rushed up from below, carrying an unfamiliar scent. "What's down there?" Ty asked. "I don't know," Hannah admitted. "No one has entered it since it was sealed. The stories only say that it contains the heart of the Guardians, and that it should be opened when the Sky People return and the stones awaken." Ty looked at Sung, then back at the dark passage. Every instinct told him to report this to Confederation headquarters immediately. But something deeper pulled at him, a sense that he was part of something ancient and important. "Then let's find out what's inside," Ta said, activating a light from his wrist device. He stepped toward the passage, feeling as if he was about to cross a threshold that would change everything. Ta led the way down the narrow stone steps. The air grew cooler as they descended deeper into the earth. Hannah followed closely behind him, with Sung and Jin bringing up the rear. Jin, the team's historian, had joined them after Ta's urgent message about the discovery. "These stairs are perfectly preserved," Jin commented, running his hand along the smooth wall. "No erosion or wear. They should be ancient, but they look new." After descending for what seemed like hundreds of steps, they reached a small landing. A door made of an unknown metal blocked their path. It had no visible handle or lock. Hannah stepped forward. "The stories mention this door. Only those of the chosen bloodline can open it." She placed her palm against the center of the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a soft blue light spread from her hand, tracing lines across the door's surface. With a gentle hiss, the door slid open. "Remarkable," whispered Jin. "The technology is still functional after thousands of years." They stepped through the doorway into a large circular chamber. The room was empty except for a single metal pedestal in the center. The pedestal glowed with a faint blue light, similar to the stones above. "This is unlike any material I've ever seen," Sung said, approaching the pedestal cautiously. His scanner beeped as he passed it over the surface. "It's generating its own energy." Jin examined the symbols carved into the sides of the pedestal. "These markings, I don't recognize them from any Earth language or any Confederation record." He took photos with his device. "These would predate our oldest historical records." Ty circled the pedestal, feeling a strange familiarity with the symbols despite never having seen them before. "Can you translate any of it?" Jin shook his head. "Not without more time and resources. But the pattern suggests a highly advanced mathematical system." Hannah stood quietly, watching the pedestal with an intense expression. "It's calling to me," she said softly. "What do you mean?" Ty asked. "I can hear it. In my mind." Hannah moved toward the pedestal, as if in a trance. "Wait," Sung called out. "We should analyze it fully before." But Hannah had already reached the pedestal. As she approached, the blue glow brightened. A beam of light shot up from the top, scanning her from head to toe. A deep voice filled the chamber, speaking in a language none of them had heard before. Yet strangely, Ty understood the words as if they were speaking directly to his mind. "Blood of our blood. Seed of the stars. The vessel awakens." "What's happening?" Jin asked, backing away slightly. Sung was staring at his scanner in disbelief. "Commander, you need to see this. Her DNA. It's changing. Or rather, it's unlocking." Tad looked at the readings. "I don't understand." "Human DNA contains sequenced coding from at least 7 different spacefaring species," Sung explained, his voice shaking with excitement. 3 of these species are extinct according to our records. It's as if someone designed humans as genetic storage units." Hannah placed her hand on the pedestal. The blue light intensified, flowing up her arm and spreading throughout her body. Her eyes began to glow with the same blue light. "I remember now," she said, but her voice had changed. It carried strange harmonics, as if multiple voices were speaking at once. "I understand our purpose, Hana." Ta took a step toward her, concerned. "I am still Hana," she said, turning to look at him. "But I am also more." Humans were designed as vessels, genetic repositories to preserve what would otherwise be lost. "Designed by whom?" Jin asked. "The architects," Hana replied. "They foresaw a great darkness that would consume the galaxy. They seeded many worlds with their knowledge, hidden within the genetic code of compatible species. Humans proved most adaptable." Tai struggled to process this information. "Are you saying that humans are artificial?" "No," Hana smiled. "Humans evolved naturally on Earth, but the architects enhanced certain bloodlines, adding genetic memories and capabilities that would remain dormant until needed." Suddenly, the pedestal emitted a pulse of energy that spread throughout the chamber. The walls came alive with projections of star systems and galaxies. "The signal has been sent," Hana said, her expression growing serious. "The Guardians are awakening." "What signal? What Guardians?" Tai asked. "Across Earth, others like me will begin to remember. The activation has begun." Hana's eyes dimmed slightly as she looked at Tai with concern. "But the signal will be detected by others as well. The Voidborn will come." "Voidborn?" Jin asked. "Ancient enemies of all organic life," Hana explained. "They seek to convert all matter into their own form. The architects fought them to a standstill eons ago, but knew they would return. That is why they created us." Far across the galaxy, in the dark space between stars, ancient sensors detected the activation signal from Earth. Systems that had been dormant for millennia came online. The Voidborn Collective, a vast consciousness spread across countless machine forms, focused its attention on the signal's origin. Decision pathways activated, resources allocated. A fleet of black ships, hidden in the shadow of a dead star, powered up their engines and set course for Earth. Back in the chamber, Hana suddenly gasped and gripped the pedestal tightly. "What is it?" Tai asked. "They're coming," she whispered. "The Voidborn have detected the signal. They're coming for Earth." Tai looked at his team members, then back at Hana. What had begun as a simple observation mission had just become something much more significant. The fate of Earth, and possibly the entire galaxy, now hung in the balance. Ta and his team rushed back to the surface, following Hana, who moved with newfound speed and grace. The blue glow around her body had faded but still flickered beneath her skin like lightning under clouds. "We need to warn your people," Ta said, activating his communication device. "If these Voidborn are as dangerous as you say." A deep rumbling cut him off. The ground shook violently, causing trees to sway and birds to flee in panic. The sky, which had been clear blue moments ago, darkened as if night had suddenly fallen. "They're here already," Hana said, looking up. "They move faster than I expected." Through breaks in the clouds, Ta spotted 3 black ships, each shaped like a jagged blade. They were unlike any vessels in the Confederation's records. The ships hovered directly above the stone circle, focusing beams of dark energy downward. "They're targeting the activation site," Sung shouted over the growing noise. Tai activated his emergency channel. "This is Commander Tai to Stellar Path. We have hostile vessels attacking. Begin evacuation procedures for the human settlement. Prepare defensive systems." "Understood, Commander," came the response. "But our weapons may not be enough against 3 unknown ships." The villagers ran from their homes in terror, pointing at the sky. Some fled into the forest, while others stood frozen in shock. Tay turned to Hana. "We need to get these people to safety. Our ship can." His words died in his throat as Hana stepped forward, walking calmly toward the stone circle. Her entire body now glowed with bright blue light. The ground trembled beneath her feet, but not from the enemy weapons. The vibration came from her. "Hannah, wait," Todd called out. "It's too dangerous." She turned and smiled at him. In that moment, she looked both completely human and something far beyond. "This is what I was made for, Ta." Hannah stepped into the center of the stone circle. The black ships above concentrated their beams directly on her position. The energy was so intense that the air itself seemed to burn. Ta shielded his eyes, certain he was about to witness her destruction. Instead, he heard her voice, now powerful enough to echo across the entire valley. "I am awakened," she announced. "The guardians rise again." Hannah raised her arms toward the sky. Blue energy cascaded from her fingertips, forming a dome-shaped shield that expanded outward. The void-born weapons struck the shield and scattered, harmlessly, deflected away. "Impossible," Jin whispered beside Ta. "The energy readings are off any scale we can measure." One of the black ships descended lower, intensifying its attack. Hannah made a simple gesture with her hand, and a beam of light shot upward from her palm. It struck the ship, causing its surface to crack with light. The vessel shuddered, then fell from the sky, crashing into an empty field. "She just disabled an advanced warship with a gesture," Sung said, his scanner forgotten in his hand. Across the world, Tai's ship reported strange energy signatures activating at ancient sites. Near Stonehenge, the pyramids of Egypt, the stone heads of Easter Island, and dozens of other locations, humans were transforming, their bodies glowing with the same blue light as Hannah's. Hannah turned to Tai as she maintained the protective shield with one hand. "Your confederation is young," she said, her voice carrying easily despite the chaos around them. "The architects were old when your ancestors first left their oceans." "Who were these architects?" Tai asked. "The first advanced species in this galaxy. They saw the rise of the Voidborn and fought a war that lasted thousands of years. When they realized they might lose, they created a contingency plan. A second Voidborn ship targeted the village. Hannah noticed and made a sweeping motion. A wave of energy knocked the ship off course, sending it spinning away. They seeded compatible planets with humanity," she continued. "We look different on each world, adapted to local conditions, but we share the same core design. Within our genetic code, they hid their most advanced technologies and knowledge, designed to activate only when the Voidborn returned." Ta felt a chill. Something about her words triggered a memory. He activated his personal database and searched for restricted files he'd noticed during his command training, but never accessed. The files opened after his command override. What he saw made him stagger backward. "You knew," he whispered, looking at the ancient Confederation records. "The Confederation discovered evidence of the architects centuries ago. We found references to their human vessels on multiple worlds." Jin looked over his shoulder at the files. "Why was this information restricted?" "Because they feared it," Hannah said simply. "The power the architects gave us frightened them. They worried humans would one day surpass all other species." The third Voidborn ship began retreating, pulling away from Earth's atmosphere. Hannah lowered her arms, the shield fading. "They'll return with more ships," she said. "This was only a scouting force. We need to prepare." Tad looked at the woman who now held power beyond anything his civilization had ever witnessed. According to the secret files, his leaders had deliberately avoided worlds with human populations when possible, fearing what might happen if the sleeping guardians ever awakened. Now he stood witnessing exactly what they had feared. But instead of the threat the Confederation had imagined, he saw humanity rising to defend not just itself, but all life in the galaxy. "What happens now?" Tai asked. Hannah looked toward the sky. "Now we gather the guardians and prepare for war." Tai stood quietly on the bridge of the stellar path, watching the main screen with a mixture of awe and concern. The ship hovered in Earth's orbit, giving them a perfect view of what was happening below. His four-fingered hands gripped the command rail tightly, his scales rippling with tension beneath his holographic disguise. On the screen, blue lights glowed at hundreds of points across Earth's surface. Each light marked an awakened guardian, a human whose hidden genetic code had activated. Ta could hardly believe what he was seeing. "Commander, incoming transmission from Confederation headquarters," said Min, his communications officer. "They're demanding an explanation for our actions." Ta nodded but didn't respond immediately. He had broken numerous protocols by helping Hannah and the other humans. His career was almost certainly over, but after what he had learned about his own government's deception, he couldn't bring himself to care. "Tell them I'll respond shortly," he finally said. Day, the tactical officer, looked up from his station with wide eyes. "Commander, the Voidborn ships have pulled back to the edge of the solar system, but sensors show they're regrouping. At least 30 vessels now." The door to the bridge slid open. Hannah entered, though she hardly resembled the simple village woman they had first met. Her body glowed with soft blue light, and she seemed to float rather than walk. The ship's systems responded to her presence. Screens brightened, engines hummed more smoothly, and even the air felt cleaner. The crew stared in amazement. Hannah smiled at them kindly. "Your people knew about us," she said to Ta, her voice gentle but filled with a new strength. "They found traces of the architect's work on many worlds. They found humans like those on Earth, but they chose to hide this knowledge, even from their own people." Ta nodded sadly. "The files I accessed confirm it. The Confederation feared what would happen if humans awakened." Hannah touched the main viewing screen, and it changed to show a new image. A vast fleet of black Voidborn ships moving toward Earth. "The architects saw this coming thousands of years ago," she explained. "They knew the Voidborn would return to consume all organic life. So they created humans as their legacy and defenders. We were never meant to stay primitive. We were simply waiting until we were needed." Outside the ship's windows, something remarkable began to happen. From Earth's surface, thousands of glowing figures rose into space. Human guardians, their bodies now capable of surviving the vacuum, soared upward like stars ascending. "How is this possible?" Sung asked, checking his instruments. "They're generating energy fields that defy all known physics. The architect's technology was far beyond even your understanding," Hannah said. "What seems like magic to you is simply science you haven't yet discovered." Todd watched the Guardians gathering in orbit, forming a protective shell around Earth. His throat felt tight as he asked, "Will you destroy the Confederation for hiding the truth about your kind? For treating humans as a potential threat?" Hannah laughed softly. "No, Ta. The purpose of Guardians is to protect all life, not seek revenge. Your Confederation will need to adjust to a new reality, but humanity does not seek dominion, only partnership." The ship's alarms blared suddenly. The Voidborn fleet had begun its approach, their black ships cutting through space like deadly shadows. "They're launching their attack," Day reported, his voice tense. "Weapons powered and targeting Earth." Hannah looked at Ta. "It's time. Would you like to witness what the architects planned for this moment?" Ta nodded silently. On Hannah's signal, the Guardians formed a network around Earth. They positioned themselves at specific points that matched the ancient star maps found in the stone circles. As the Voidborn ships approached, the Guardians began to glow more intensely. "What are they doing?" Jin whispered in awe. "Activating the final defense," Hannah explained. The star maps weren't just records. They were blueprints for a weapon that could stop the Voidborn forever. The Guardians began channeling energy between them, forming a glowing web around the planet. As the first Voidborn ships came within range, the web pulsed once. A wave of golden light expanded outward from Earth. When the light touched the Voidborn ships, they didn't explode or burn. Instead, they simply transformed, their dark matter becoming ordinary particles that scattered harmlessly into space. "It's not destruction," Hannah said, seeing Tada's amazed expression. "It's conversion. The Voidborn aren't evil. They're just an incompatible form of life. The architects found a way to transform them without destroying them. As the last Voidborn ship dissolved into stardust, Hannah turned to Ta. Her body was beginning to glow more brightly, as if preparing to leave. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Humanity will now take its place among the stars, not as newcomers, but as returning children of those who came before." She extended her hand to him. "We would be honored if you would help guide us in meeting the other worlds of your confederation." Tad looked at his crew members, seeing their nods of agreement. Then he looked back at Hannah, this extraordinary being who had changed everything he thought he knew about the universe. "It would be my privilege," he said, bowing deeply to her, "to witness the return of the Architect's legacy." Together, they turned toward the main view screen, which now showed countless stars. Out there, on planets throughout the galaxy, other human colonies waited to awaken to their true purpose. The end.